All right, last part. When would the person making this investment have invested $100,000 in the property in months and years? So we're going to take our equation that we already been used, that we wrote. And in this scenario, they're giving us the investment value. So we can substitute that in for Y. There it is. You can see how the Y is no longer there. You see the 100,000. That's the given information. Make sure to write that given in parentheses. Then we look at this scenario or this equation and we'll say, okay, well, I know how to solve it if it only looked like this, because that's what last week's equations looked like. But I don't necessarily know about this plus 32,900. Well, you just have to get rid of it. Use the inverse operation. So instead of adding 32,900, you're going to choose to do the opposite of adding. Subtract 32,900 and do that to both sides. On both sides of the equal sign, you would do that. And so you can see it here. It says 100,000 minus 32,900 equals the 1,157 times x plus 32,900 minus the 32,900. And that's because of the inverse operation. Once you see that, you can say to yourself, well, that looks like a hot mess. I've subtracted my 32,900 on both sides, but it made the problem look more complicated. Well, that's not bad. We can simplify it. So simplify the subtraction. So you can see all I did was go ahead and put that in the calculator, and I found 67,100. I went to the right-hand side and I said, okay, what can I simplify here? Well, I can actually simplify these two. They equal 0. And if I know they equal 0, should I say plus 0? Why? I'm adding nothing. So I can leave it as just empty. So basically just cancel it out. At that point, I'm going to be in a position where this equation does look like last week's. So I can approach it using the inverse operation. So you can see here I did the division of 1,157 on both sides, because once again, you use the opposite of whatever's going on to x. X is being multiplied by this 1,157, so we're going to choose to divide by the 1,157. We did that to both sides, and it looks like a hot mess. We then say to ourselves, let me clean it up. The issue is these two numbers here, right, are not in the order that I want. I want the 1,157 right in front of that fraction symbol, the division symbol. And so in order to do that, I have to use what's called the commutative property of multiplication, which tells me I can switch the order. So instead of saying 1,157 times x, I can actually put x times 1,157. So notice all I did was change the order of those two values. At that point now, this is great for me because I see these two right next to each other. And so I can simplify now. When I simplify, I end up putting this in the calculator. And one thing to note is $sign divided by $sign means they cancel. There's no $sign anymore. And that's why you see 57.99 without a $sign. Then on the right-hand side, nicely, we just divide these two and we'll end up with 1. Once we go ahead and substitute our 1 into that value, or put the 1 in that place, we can then say, all right, we've simplified the division. It looks really nice, but we're going to use the identity property of multiplication to say that x times 1 is the same as x. So we don't really have to write times 1. We just got to write x. So then we go ahead and say to ourselves, let's write it in the correct order. So x is always on the left. That's just a traditional formal thing to do in math. You can do that by flipping right across the equal sign, and that's because of the symmetric property of equality. And then we're at a point where we pretty much understand what the scenario is actually asking us or telling us, and the equation is telling us the answer. 57.99 is about 58. Therefore, it takes about 58 months, which is equivalent to, and I want you to think about this, how many months, right, or how many years, I apologize, how many years are fully in 58 months? Well, if I said 5 years, that's 60 months. So I know I have to go down to 4 years. That's 48 months. But 48 plus how many gets you 58? So 48 months is why I said 4 years, because that's 48 months. But then I still have to add another 10 months to get me to 58 full months. So in total, it tells me it takes 4 years and 10 months to invest $100,000 into this property. And so with that said, all done. This is the end of this video, so all you have to do is apply this understanding to the rest of the problems and press turn in.